Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. Our time to learn about getting out of debt, of course, managing money, planning for retirement. And look, for a lot of us, retirement is an issue that we look at when we go, I don't know, sometimes when you get in your 40s and your 50s. Remember, life is about, at least it seems to be about segmentation, right? In your 20s, you're looking for a mate, you're trying to get your education done, trying to figure out what your career path is going to be, what that magic bullet for that company. You get there, okay, now in your 30s, you're starting to think about a family. You're walking through that phase of life where you're going to live, that job. Before you get too old, you start thinking about what is it going to be like to live in this part of town or in this part of the nation. And you settle in. And now you're in your 40s and you're thinking you're next upwardly mobile. You want to buying that last house. You're wanting to look at what the biggest house, the fanciest car. It's about the most expensive house and car you're going to buy. Really, it's between your 35 and 45 year bracket. It's kind of the peak. Of course, there's some outliers, a little bit later, a little bit earlier. But that's about when you buy the largest / most expensive home, right? When you do that, this whole time you should have been saving for and planning for retirement. Because retirement is not just about a moment in time. And so many people think it is. But retirement instead is about a series of events that take place, and not just taking place in one moment, but it takes place over a period of time, meaning there's phase one, opening the account. Let's start with that. That's really the first part.
Well, I think a lot of us get fixated on that number that the government puts out there, right? Whether it's age 66, your full retirement age, right? Because everybody kind of looks at Social Security as our baseline for income. A lot of folks do. Some people don't, certainly if they pay into other systems, but that's kind of the number that everybody looks at. 62 is the first time when you can really touch Social Security. Age 70, that's another time in your life. So we have all these different numbers and ages out there, but really retirement is just about when you are financially independent and you don't have to trade your time for money anymore. So opening that account, that's the first step. You can do that in your 20s. You can do that in your 50s. Some people don't start saving for retirement until they're working for 30 years, and they say, "Oh gosh, I really started late. I've got to get going on this." But opening the account, that is, it sounds so simple. Like, oh yeah, of course, sir, if you open the account, but so many people don't do that, and we find that they miss out on a lot of opportunity early on when they've had the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, because the part of the process is you're not going to end up in the same job. Most people don't. They usually end up in a series of career choices that lead them down the road of 2 and 3 and 4 different jobs before you settle in on the career that you want, number one. But number two, before you settle in on the company you want to work for. And today, I love it when we just put people in little buckets like millennials this and baby boomers that. But today there is a bit more of an upwardly mobile, and not just in buying a smaller house than a medium and then the larger house, or a 4-door car to a minivan to a sports car to eventually the motorhome and fancy car. Right? People are not just going down the road for that reason. They're going down the road of financial security for multiple reasons. And that means that retirement gets left in the back door. They forget that free money that's out there, specifically matching. So think of it this way. You have a matching component. That means in retirement, it used to be you would settle in somewhere in your early or mid-20s to not just the career, but the company you want to work for. And when you do that, you are now hooked into a pension that begins at age 60 or 65, and that is your life is on track. Maybe you'll be the person who will promote. Maybe you'll go from wearing a blue shirt, blue collar, right? That's the worker, to a white collar or the white shirt and tie. That's where that comes from. Maybe you'll go from worker on the assembly floor to manager in the back office with air conditioning. That's the old idea of upwardly mobile, staying with the company. But today it's a different mindset. People say, listen, I'm here for what I can get because, number one, there's no pension tying me to this company. Companies think, or used to think, they had it made. We don't have to give a pension anymore. And it does save them money, no question. But it also doesn't retain employees. So now you have to pay them more money, give them better benefits, and more importantly today, that millennial generation, it is about let's be frank, work conditions, days off. My kids are sick. Can I take them to the doctor? Can I come in late? Can I work later hours? Can I work from home? Can I work remotely in a different city or state altogether? And so that millennial generation for those companies are a challenge. How are they going to manage and create a workspace that gives them, really, a competitive edge so that the folks that they want to retain or to even get to begin with even consider them as a company?
Right, and you're bringing up a great point. When you're looking at jobs and the benefits that are associated with those, there's something called portability, right? You put money into a 401k or a 403b. That just is where you find it in the IRS code, right? Depends on where you work, whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit or a government entity. You have different numbers, but basically it's the same thing. You can put money that you have earned before you pay taxes. You can put it into a retirement account. You get a tax break on it. It sits off to the side, but that's your money. The pension doesn't belong to you if there is one, and some people can't even spell pension because they're just not that common anymore in certain industries. So you have something called portability. You get to take that money with you. That's your money. And if your employer puts some money in there and you've been there for a few years, maybe you're vested, you've heard that term before, that just means that you get to take the money that they've put in on your behalf, and as long as you've worked there for a certain amount of time, you can take it with you. So now you've taken that money, and hopefully you've earned some interest along the way as well, but that bucket of dollars is yours. You get to take that with you. If you go to another job in a completely different field or industry or career path, no problem. You were a refueler yesterday, and now tomorrow you're a doctor or a physician, whatever have you. You can take that with you. So back to your point, Arif, it's really important to realize that it's almost been like, it's now like a commodity to hear about benefits. You go, okay, well, big deal. People are really looking for that condition that you're talking about. And I think that's important and it's almost like it's a shift in mindset, because now people are valuing their time more than that golden handcuff.
That's right. Can you retire at age 62? That's the question. It's going to take planning and preparation. The sooner, the better. It's really a combination of two things: money coming in and money going out. It's not that difficult. What used to be the case when you had 8, 9, 10% mortgages, car loans that were 6, 7, 8, 9%, when you had no student loan debt, but significant credit card debt, you had a position where people used to say, I have to pay off my house, I have to pay off my car before I can retire. Now, maybe for some of you, that's still part of it. That's important. But realize that the importance of paying off your car or your house before you retire, so what if you had $5,000 a month in bills? If you had $20,000 a month in income? You see where I'm going? It isn't just a combination of one versus the other. Sometimes keeping that house mortgage forever because it's 3.5% interest is not a bad idea. It's almost free money. Add in there a tax break, and you're probably thinking, this is not a bad deal to carry through retirement. Now, look, I'm not saying it's always a good idea to have a mortgage. Everybody's different. But consider this. In retirement, the old idea of paying off your house before you retire doesn't always hold water anymore, because most of you aren't going to stay in the same house. You're going to move. So it doesn't matter if it's paid off. In addition to that, if you don't start early in a retirement account at work and get the free money, very important. I'll start with this, Jeff, and you know the second half. I don't even have to tell you. Number one, I want you to go to the matching. Get all the free money you can at work. If they're matching 4%, you put in 4. If they're matching 6, you put in 6. Whatever that is, you get all of that money. Then if you have extra money for retirement, you go outside and put it where?
And then you go into an individual retirement account. And if you can swing it, you got to talk with your tax person. Look at a Roth IRA. That's right. ROTH, because you've already gotten a pre-tax benefit at work plus free money. That's all. You're going to pay tax on that someday, or at least it'll be subject to it. The Roth IRA, you put the money in, you don't get a tax break. It's almost like a savings account, right? If you put money in a savings, you don't get a tax benefit. The Roth IRA works the same way, but you don't pay taxes on the interest. And when you retire, you pull all that money out tax-free.
Ever again is that subject to taxation. That's important. Under current law, you'll never pay tax on that Roth IRA again. I say that because a year ago, the Obama administration submitted a budget to Congress. It was denied, but part of his budget to Congress that was submitted literally had in there that Roth IRAs were not going to be exempt from taxes anymore. Important you know that, because it's if the House and the Senate and the president are of similar mind and body when it comes to political agenda and taxation, they might make changes. So in other words, get while the getting's good.
Right.
If you can put together a plan that includes that Roth IRA, I love it. Oh, you still have more money left to spend? Consider other places, whether that is rental property, whether that is going back to your 401k if you need the tax break. You're checking with your CPA and saying, do I need the break today, or can I afford to take a little bit of hit today so that when I retire it's tax-free or I get tax benefits? That's the rental property part of this. Don't forget that. Third, now listen, you go, when was the last time a financial guy said buy something that he doesn't sell? Well, I guess it's the last time you had somebody who's thinking to do the same thing that I would do, right? Look, any financial professional, I know I'm going to make some enemies for the moment, so forgive me, gentlemen and ladies. Any financial professional that tells you, bring me all of your assets or else, not a good idea. In my opinion, when they say bring me all of your assets or else, it's because they are insecure about a third or fourth person or a second person looking at and being subject to, questioning.
Sure.
I'll give you a great example. A gentleman was in our office the other day. He had about $750,000 saved. Nice chunk of money, not bad at all. He's done well. And in his account, he was pulling out $2,500 a month to live on. He had a pension, Social Security, and in his own retirement, he was pulling out $2,500. That's wonderful. Oh, guess what his fees were? His broker was getting $1,500 and some change. We'll round down. $1,500 a month for the broker. $2,500 a month for the person who worked 45 years for that money. Now, listen, I'm not saying every broker is bad. Of course not. You guys pay attention. But what I am saying is you better understand sometimes the money you worked for doesn't always go to you and your family. It goes to somebody who's taking a break and fishing or in Alaska or swimming, in his summer practice in his home in the ocean. I mean, I don't know. These guys take vacations. If they're supposed to watch your money, that's why you're paying. They could never leave until the market closes.
Right.
So just know, yes, if you're paying for something and you get it and you're happy, fine. But when this person found out that his broker was taking $1,500 a month and he was getting $2,500, that's a problem. Now, sometimes the other brokers will say, well, I want to be the guy getting that $1,500, so why don't you just send that over to me? And I'll take it, and I'll take $1,200. And you go, wow, hey, that's pretty good. How about just, you don't have to pay anything? If you don't need to pay a fee, then be careful, because that can eat up your money. Can you retire at age 62? You can if two things happen. You keep your debt manageable, and you have your income indisputably non-correlated to everything else. Boy, big words there. What does that mean? Simple enough. I don't want, oh my gosh, the market's down. You lose your retirement account, your savings, your kids' college, your future vacation fund. Everything is tied to North Korea not being crazy or the president not having a problem with, I'm not a fan of that. I need you to make sure that what's happening is not everything is tied in one basket. So have things that when one goes up, it goes down. If you have money in the market and the market goes up, maybe that's where you're starting to pull some because it's the house's money.
That's right.
Market goes down, you don't touch that money, give it time to come back. Do you have other sources of income? Do you have rental property? Do you have investments in other types of places where you're not going to be hit? That's a second place. It's a wonderful thing. So you keep accounts that are not hitting each other when the market goes up or down.
Well, I think retiring at 62 or any age for that matter means that you have a different mindset, and it's about that diversity in income. People talk all day long about diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, yet they have 15 different mutual funds or 8 different stocks. Well, right, that's all kind of on the same bus, right? And we've talked about that. That you might be in the most aggressive with some of your money or maybe kind of moderate and then very conservative in the market. You're still wherever the seat is on that bus, it's still going over with the bus. I don't care what seat you're on. So having other sources of income, I mean, and the other side of the coin is people that put all of their trust and in their retirement in one company. I'm not going to save in the 401k or the retirement plan. I'm just going to take the pension 100%. I'm going to spend all my money do what I want, have a great life, because I know that that company that I worked for 30, 40 years is going to take care of me for the rest of my life.
You know, we had a gentleman who worked for Procter & Gamble. Remember that company? Nice company, big company.
Yeah.
Everything was great except when Procter & Gamble had a problem after the 2000 crash, right? The market dropped. That was a big deal. It cost this guy almost half of his money because he had his 401k at the company, but he also had his paycheck at the company, which paid for his mortgage.
Right.
He also had his family vacations planned because it paid for that. His retirement, 100%, because he had a pension, was tied to that company. Now, Procter & Gamble is a great company. I'm not saying it isn't, but I don't care if it's the U.S. government or you pick your favorite company in the world. If you have everything tied to that, you've got to be careful. If you win big. My gosh, that's right. You pick the right one, you're the winner. And if you lose big. So you need to spread it out. Keep yourself from being at risk. Another part that I want you to pay attention to is the elephant in the room, if you will, is healthcare. Yeah. There are times when healthcare is not well thought of, and right now it's one of those. Who knows? You want to retire today. What's it going to be in 2 years? It's all up in the air. So there's going to be some changes, and as those changes take place, we don't know what's going to happen, and you need to prepare for that. So I'm going to give you some ideas and some clues when we come back after this break for healthcare preparation so that you can still retire at age 62. By the way, that's before Medicare, isn't it? By 3 years. So can you retire at age 62 and still expect, of course, you're going to have Medicare at age 65, at least most people do. Then what do you do the next go around? We've got that when we come back. I'm Arif Halaby. This is Total Financial Solutions, Safer Money Hour. And for those of you listening on Facebook Live, thanks for joining us. Arif Halaby with Jeff Gerard. We'll be back in just a minute. Stay tuned because we're going to pop right back up on Facebook Live after a 3-minute commercial. We'll be right back.